Cool. Well, I'm ready whenever you are.
Brought to you by some guys on the internet.
This is Getting Tabled.
With your hosts Jason the Bruce,
You guy!
George the Yang,
I hope you're all entertained by my inaptitude.
Jason aka Major Socks.
We've been doing this and talking about various stuff. One of the stuff.
Now sit back, relax, and get tabled.
Hello, future people, and welcome to episode 73 of Getting Tabled with your host, the Bruce.
Hello, folks. And down below us, we have Major Socks. I think we should actually start calling you Major and wait to see how long it is until people ask how the name Major came along.
I'm good with it. And it's good to have you back, George.
Yeah.
Who's George? Oh, this guy.
I don't know, some guy that we just picked up from last time.
So I do have a bit of a complaint with the arrangement you have with the videos. If Socks is below you, that's wrong because you're the one that's down under.
That's not my fault. I don't choose. No, wait, no, I do chase the layout. It's all part of me feeding my massive ego. I'm on top and lording over the rest of you.
Right. Should we get to this lovely little
Newly received or noteworthy information, especially about recent or important events.
So, we're starting off, unsurprisingly, with the Games Workshop side of the news. And I don't know about George, but I'm going to sit here and say that these two releases that they have coming out this week is, without question, the most lazy releases I have seen them do in probably 12 months. They've got 2 codexes coming out, absolutely no minis for any of them whatsoever, and don't come at me saying that the Identity Clean don't need minis. It's a tiny range that definitely needs more added to it. And how is it to design one miniature?
You think the Deepkin needs more miniatures?
Oh, the Fire Slayers. Yeah, that was kind of my point. But the Deepkin didn't get anything last time either.
So the only thing the Fire Slayers got was, since the factions come out, has been the little 3 character set with the Rune Lord, or not Rune Lord, for the game. And then there was the Silver Towers game that had like a miniature from each faction, and they re-released that mini. In order to get I can't remember the Runesmith and then the 2 general type things with the Magmadroth, you have to buy the Magmadroth. You can't get those separately. And the little Runesmith, I want to say it's a Runesmith. I should probably look here before I run my mouth too much. The only way you can get him is with the Fire Drake, and he has awesome abilities. He allows you. He will tunnel underground and take an entire unit with him, and burst on the ground like within 2 inches or 12 inches of enemy units.
Yeah.
And the only way you can get him is with the Magmadroth.
And I just...
Surprise, they're out of stock online right now, too.
Nah, I don't have a big problem with it, because that happens all the time. Especially right now.
Yeah.
Look, don't get me wrong. I realise that this is not the first time that it's happened. I don't think we spoke about this last time that it happened. But this is... normally, people give criticism when their codex comes out and only has one hero that nobody wants coming out with it. They're not even trying to do that anymore. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm extremely grateful that they actually made some effort with the Eldar recently. But, really? At the cost of every other army they sell? I don't know. That's just my rant for the day.
Now, I will say this, though. I do know why they've just done this, is because 2 episodes ago, because I wasn't here for the last one, so it was probably the one previous to that, the box set that Games Workshop was releasing for Age of Sigmar was Fire Slayers versus Deepkin. So,
True.
that is the opportunity of they're trying to shove this into this is new stuff, buy it. They should probably release the new battle tome so that,
Well, they did announce in January that there was going to be a rush of battle times. Well, rush is my word, not theirs. They're just trying to get everything out at this stage. I suspect because they're trying to get a balance going. I don't know. It just seems really weird.
That's the biggest problem that you see with 40K, and why that environment, I would say, is so absolutely toxic, is they don't keep up with codexes with the new rules edition. I mean, where are we on now? 10th edition, 9th edition, whatever edition?
9th, yeah.
9th edition, yeah. Did all the armies get their codexes for 8th edition? Nope.
Probably. No, I don't think that's happened in any edition they've ever done.
Yeah, exactly. So
I could be wrong. I could be wrong on that, but I don't think it's ever happened.
So I mean, to me, that's a huge issue of, we're going to, constantly keep making changes, but never actually get anything fully released before we have to change it because we don't do everything all at once.
This is the problem that I have with power creep. And don't get me wrong, look, some people are huge fans of the ways that Games Workshop do business, and it does a lot of business for them. But I would be of the argument that the power creep loses them a lot more business than it makes them. Because I don't know anybody, even the most fanboy of fanboys, that actually enjoy the power creep. Most of them find it really annoying that they then have to go out and buy stuff the next fortnight all over again. As opposed to... No, I mean, it's not everybody else that does it differently, but most other companies, like Mantic, yes, I mean, every company has have FAQs and stuff, but you don't have an army coming out from Mantic or Infinity or Bushido or Malifaux, etc., 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 that then breaks the entire game because nobody playtested it first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, Games Workshop is also the company that says that they don't sell games, they sell miniatures. So, that is a couple of years ago they said that, but I still think that's part of the problem.
Well, I think it's a huge part of the problem when, they constantly are releasing stuff for the sake of releasing stuff and not actually finishing releasing something, if that makes sense.
And for the record, I don't actually know if I mentioned this in the previous. I have a Games Workshop purchase recently. So this isn't just coming from Gur Anti. I still buy their stuff, just not all the time. But yeah, I find it really frustrating. Every time that they do a new edition for 40k, I'm like, okay, looks like that they're gonna start doing things better. And they fall straight back into their 80s vibe again. Because, I mean, this is an 80s business model that they continue to push. And personally, I think that they would be killing the business. As in, positively, like, they would be making a lot more money if they were to stop doing this.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Moving on to something I'm totally not going to rant about. To something I already own, honestly. Cursed City is back. So for the next 2 weeks, you can order Cursed City again. Because they're re-releasing it, but only for 2 weeks, until later in the year in July or August or September or something, where they do it for a third time. And when it comes out in August or September or whatever it is, this is fact, this is happening, then it's also going to have expansions as well. Personally, and I'm stealing this opinion from elsewhere because I agree with it, I think the only reason that they're doing this as such a limited thing is to try and scare people into FOMO, fear of missing out. People that are like, oh no, I need to buy it now because otherwise I'll never have another chance, even though they've already announced that there will be another chance, and probably a better chance. The big thing about this that is probably worth saying something about, though, is that it's exactly the same price that it was last time. Which, given that they are in the middle of a price hike for the rest of you, but not me, is something to be said.
Well, to be fair, Games Workshop is always in the middle of a price hike, so.
Well, yeah. It's a fairly significant one at the moment, too. I don't think we actually touched on it, Socks, last time, because it happened in between episodes, but it's kind of old news now. But for those that don't know, everyone except for Australia, Japan, New Zealand, and there is someone else. And for those that have been following us for a long time, there should be fairly significant bells going off in your head as to why those countries are not the ones that are having their price hike. Because we're all the ones that have been being ripped off for about 15 years.
I was going to say, because you already have the biggest margin increase over the actual product than any other country.
Japan has the biggest one.
Right, but right behind you, them is Australia and New Zealand. So
yeah, very big. But Cursed City is something that I brought, opened, got really excited about, and then I have literally never touched it ever again. I've almost thrown this onto Facebook Marketplace a lot of times. Like, the minis are really great, but the game itself looks really... Look, Games Workshop board games are Games Workshop board games, and there's very few of them. I mean, this looks fun, but it's kind of a bit janky. I don't know. I think Games Workshop need to... I don't know. They need to give a new approach to how they do their board games. They need some actual board game people in the company.
Sounds like another company that I know. That Fantasy Flight. They almost needed some miniature people in the miniatures game.
Well, that's not a new argument. That's been a problem for a while. I mean, look, Games Workshop don't. Games Workshop board games are a lot better than they were even only 2 years ago. But there's a lot of ground that could be made up there. I think part of the problem of people buying your product just because it's your product is that you don't have a lot of reason to try to push things. You only ever have to make it look like you are. Finally, though, it's actually been a fairly quiet couple of weeks from Games Workshop. I mean, there has been more than this. It's just not stuff that's been worth talking about. Because a lot of their news at the moment is about Warhammer Plus, which is exciting. We have some Undead Pirates coming out for Underworlds, which, honestly, I think these things look cool. I mean, they look really weird, but they look really cool. He's like got, I don't know, Frankenstein's bolts coming out of his arms.
Frankenstein's monsters bolts. Yes,
sorry, good point.
God. Get it right, Bruce.
So we're in the middle of Harrow Deep at the moment. So this is the 4th setting for the game. I mean, Underworlds is probably, out of all of the new stuff that they've done, Underworlds has easily been the most successful. Warcry was a flash in the pan for about 5 seconds, and it doesn't really seem like it picked back up again. I actually think that Warcry was the better game, but they just didn't really support it for very long. It was kind of just yep, this is a thing now, and just buy the thing. And occasionally there's a new book coming out. There is actually a new book that came out recently for it, but this one continues to go well.
Here, I'm gonna rewind a little bit. Now that we've talked about 2 kind of standalone-ish games from Games Workshop.
Yep.
And don't get me wrong. You know, if the game's good and people like it, then the game's good and people like it. But how about you focus on, you know, if you look at the banner on the top of their website, right? You got Age of Sigmar, you got Warhammer 40K, you got Middle Earth, right? Focus on those, you know, like the Warhammers. Focus on those. Get all your books released, get your armies released, you know, and then when you're finally caught up on that, maybe to a board game. You know,
I think part of the problem, and this is going to sound like I like a lot of the things that Games Workshop do, and I'm trying to preface that because what I'm about to say is, I think part of the problem is a lot of their board games and their side games are only designed for one of two reasons. Either it's to distract their existing fan base and stop them from looking elsewhere, because you can't look at other people's paint lines, look, we've got one right here. You can't look at other people's paint brushes, look, we've got one right here. It's all about distracting and not letting people look outside of the bubble. Because when most people look outside of the bubble, they don't come back.
Yeah.
And the other reason is they use a lot of these things to try to draw new people in. Because, I mean, look, yeah, we have these really big games, but this one's really easy. It's a really easy way into the hobby.
Yeah. Well, for sure.
As opposed to someone like Fantasy Flight that make a board game first and then put everything else around it. Not that Fantasy Flight, I would argue, is probably not even the height of the industry. I think they're probably a good example of what we're saying.
Yeah.
The problem from a tabletop hobby standpoint is it's about the business practice. I mean, the lore is amazing. The miniatures most of the time are amazing. But the problem is they pick and choose when the game's the important part. Or they talk about the game being important and not actually do any work to it.
Yeah. I think, in the realm of gaming that we're in right now, you've got your TT Combat stuff. You got your Privateer Press. You've got your Corvus Belli. Like Games Workshop is arguably the biggest, of those tabletop miniature games. Then you have Mythic. Then you have Awakened Realms. You have CMON. You have all these other companies where they do board games.
Yeah.
Not
everything coming off Kickstarter is just a recycled hash. Some of the best the industry has comes off Kickstarter, even now. Like, Kickstarter is old news. It's very old news at this stage, and you're still getting most of the best of the industry, board game-wise, coming out of Kickstarter. That really does say something.
And all the Facebook groups I'm in for Warhammer and stuff like that, all the new Warhammer players I see are, hey, I just dived into this. Where do I start? They haven't touched a board game. They haven't touched any of this other fluff stuff that GW does. They jump straight into the big two, Sigmar and 40K.
Yeah.
Which is where you get a lot of your burnout, I find.
Yeah, so, I mean, here's a way to stop the burnout. Make those games better. Stop worrying about Cursed City. Stop worrying about whatever else you're doing. Make those games better and let, some of these companies over here do the fantastic board games that you can't even keep up and compete on.
I mean, to be fair, I don't want to see them stop doing those things entirely. I just want their focus to be better. Than it feels very distracted. But part of what I feel is distraction might just be because they're trying to cover for the pandemic. But it feels like they're very distracted and got their hands in too many pies.
Yeah.
Is that the right saying? I don't know. Moving on.
Something like that. I think you're mostly right. TT Combat?
Yeah.
Did I just mention that?
You did. You mentioned everybody.
Did they release that Rumble Slam set yet?
You're just going to mention this every podcast until Lewis tells you to be quiet, aren't you?
Until he tells me to be quiet, or they're like, fine, you know what? Here
we go.
We are never getting minis made of ourselves, guys. It's never happening. All right. Okay, so these first four up the top, it's probably worth noting that none of these ones up the top are actually new. It's just these are minis that you can now buy individually that previously you had to buy as part of sets. Which is, in and of itself, an exciting thing, because you don't have to buy a full box set anymore. So it's only like £6 instead of 20-something. But the one below it is the important one. So we've seen a few different releases for Halflings now. This is their new one, which is...
I like the Camel
Halflings.
Riders.
The Camel Riders.
I was going to say, all of that sucks when you look at the Cactus Golems.
Oh, the Cactus Golems are awesome. That's the first one I was going for.
Yeah.
The one there on the left with like the bulbous head, that face is just so amazing.
Yeah, I love everything about these guys. All three of those heads are awesome, but yes, the bulbous one is so creepy and I love it. I also kind of like the one where he's like being sly with the grin, the yellow one. Which is like, yes, come closer. I'm cuddly.
I want to hug you. I want to hug you.
Yeah, exactly. Give me a big hug.
Hugs.
Hugs are awesome. Trust me. And yes, the Camel Riders are gorgeous. Like, these things are just stunning. I like, these might be some of the best. There's not really a lot of camel miniatures out. Well, there probably is, but not from a big company. These ones are gorgeous. I just love them. The little halfling rockets, nice and cute. This kind of colouring on their back. I mean, there's nothing about this that's going to, completely backfire on them when it gets lit up and they explode.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, no, I'm wrong, because I'm not looking closely enough. The one that's carrying it up is putting it on the launcher. He's not waiting for it to be... Okay. For a moment there, I thought there was two people holding it. I was thinking, I think this is very goblin-y. There's some really nice stuff here. There's also a set of heroes that you can buy, because these have been coming out over a period of 2 weeks. I mean, you got your little warriors and your spearmen.
Archers.
And you can buy a full army. So, it's probably worth noting that there's no actual rules to go with this. This is a generic army that you would be putting with something else. The big one that comes to mind for me would be Kings of War. Just because that's the one that kind of makes a little bit of sense.
Was I not paying attention when you said you can pick up the entire little kit of this for £100?
I literally just said that there's a full army you can buy. I hadn't said the price yet.
So £100?
Yeah.
Which was it? That's not bad.
No,
that's pretty reasonable.
That's very reasonable. They've done really, really well here.
Talked about those, yeah. Yeah, the halflings are cool. I think the Cactus Golems steal the show.
I agree. Yeah, I love the Cactus Golems so much.
Yeah, sure. The rocket launchers are cool. The chariots are cool. Camel Riders, but dude, Cactus Golems. Oh,
it's such a cool concept that I've never seen anybody else do either. Because I mean, look, we get fun versions of other ideas lots of times.
Yeah,
but I've never heard of anybody talking. Like, even in D&D, I've never heard somebody use a Cactus Golem. I mean, every idea's always been done, but I've never heard of it personally.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're the DM out there and you've done it before, you don't need to come at me going, oh, well, I did this in 1973. I'm just saying that I haven't heard of it before. I've definitely never seen a miniature of it before.
Yeah, this is really cool. I could maybe stand to see them just looking at them next to the halflings. I could stand to see them be a little bit bigger.
Fair.
Yeah. Like 25% bigger, then it's like, more Golem-esque.
You're going to have an issue of them fitting on the base at that point, though.
Bigger base.
Yeah, but I suspect that these base sizes are going to be taken straight out of the rulebook for Kings of War. I doubt that the size of the bases is accidental.
Yeah.
Because there's only a couple of games on the market where generic armies can work. And that's the popular one. Not that I'm saying they've released a product for Kings of War. I'm just saying it would be appropriate.
Yeah. So I know we talked about the stats about these last time, but George, what's your favorite? Scrolling down, looking at the cutters, what's your favorite model of the cutter?
Oh, just look-wise?
Yeah, look-wise.
Let me see here. Let me get back to those cutters. That's okay. Wow, those UCM ones look really good.
Yeah, I like the UCM ones as well.
Look-wise, I'm gonna have to go with the UCM ones.
That's what we're kind of leaning towards.
Yeah, it was UCM or Scourge. Not Scourge. I also like the Shatari ones. I liked all of them, actually, but yeah. It wasn't a very clear... It wasn't just like Scourge wiping the floor of everybody for a change.
Yeah.
The PHR ones, like, Dave limited the PHR because, big sweeping holes. He kind of limited the army look, when he started way back with, Dropzone Commander.
No, I agree with that.
He has done some phenomenal stuff, but, it all starts to look the same after a bit, especially when you're doing spaceships.
Yeah.
They're all going to start to look the same. The Shaltari, again, that's in that same boat. You got, 30,000 dots per ship. You've got
3 of which George will paint.
Yes.
You have arcing pylons. The resistance, I say, is probably the freshest thing.
Yeah.
Just because
you can do whatever you want.
Yeah, you got pre-conquest. You got stuff that's cobbled together. The Scourge, is the same boat. But there's a lot more variety. But that UCM, God, that looks good with the asymmetrical look of it.
Yeah. We mentioned, I don't know if you heard the episode, we mentioned it looks like almost like a motorcycle with a sidecar kind of a look.
That is a great analogy for it. I was gonna say it was more like a like the TIE bomber or what's the Mon Calamari, where it's like, here's the cockpit and you got the pylon coming down, the 2 wings come off, and B-wing. The pylon, the B-wing, where the it's rotate. That's kind of the feel I get from that.
Yeah, I can see that too now.
Yeah, definitely, I can see that. Well, at this section of the news, I'm going to bring us back up close, though I've done that a couple of times now, because I'm going to talk about something that I'm not allowed to show you, even though I know that you two have both seen what I'm talking about. Hi, George.
Oh, you said bring us up close, so I was getting close.
So,
was that close enough?
Oh, you were very close, George. I very much appreciate it. So, we have some Bushido news. But it's not Bushido news that you're going to see in the episode today. Yeah, because we have an exclusive reveal of a character that's coming out on the 7th. So, at time of recording, it's going to be at midnight tonight that will be revealed. That has come directly from Jason Enos of GCT Studios that's given us this. It's coming from Wave 7, so this is also a very early release as well. We have been given this exclusively, and I keep on wanting to use the word exclusively, because, I don't know, it's a pop word, I guess. So, look out for that. YouTube.com/gettingtabled. Look out for it. Both myself and Brother Bear discussed this. Brother Bear being the gentleman that's been working on the Bushido series with me. He helped organise this. I have spoken with Mr. Enos personally. Mr. Enos has seen the video that we've done of it. They did not ask to see it. I chose to share it with them. I'm just making that clear. This is not a, well, if we're not happy type situation. It's a, no, we give you this. And I shared it with them, and it's like, yep, that's pretty much exactly what we wanted. Because they were giving us a really good opportunity. So I was like, you know what? I want to actually make sure that they're happy with this before I send it out.
That's fair.
I want to be seen as the person that's doing that, as opposed to the person that has to be told to do that. If that makes sense.
You don't want to be Homer Simpson, where he ruins his brother by designing the world's most god awful expensive car.
Yeah, pretty much.
There's a throwback for you too.
Oh yeah, is that season 1 or 2? I think that's season 1, isn't it?
That was season. I still didn't have a driver's license yet, so
it was very early. It was during the golden 7 seasons. So yeah, look, this is a really big opportunity, and this harder thing that we've kind of been hoping that we can get into for a while. This is genuine exclusive news, so potentially everybody's going to be quoting us, maybe. I don't know. I don't know if I should have high hopes for this being the one that goes viral or something. As far as the character's concerned, I will say that I like it. But I won't say anything else because I'm a big nasty tease. And now we're going to move on and pretend that we weren't talking about it.
What were we talking about?
I don't know.
There's some really good-looking samurai minis coming. A couple of about a month and a half ago now, we spoke about Fireforge in the indies as kind of like this. They've been around for a long time, but they're kind of one of these mini companies that, unless you know about them, you don't really notice them a lot. They're coming to Kickstarter with some samurai. And quite frankly, there's some really gorgeous samurai. This is all 28mm stuff. They do have some 15mm scale stuff coming as well, which is all very exciting. But I really like their samurai. I mean, these are just digital sculpts at this stage. They still have that generic body feel, so all of the bodies are going to be the same, and then it's just swapping the arms back and forth.
Poses, yeah.
Yeah. But that's sort of like in the mass army stuff, it's kind of the way to do it. Well, it's either that or you go into the very expensive category, and they clearly are aiming for a lower price point for their stuff. The horses, I still think they have some of the best looking horses out there at the moment. So, yeah, Fireforge has some really cool looking stuff coming out. Oh, the monks. I didn't see the monks. They're nice.
There's monks. I didn't see the monks.
I've just been going through the pictures and then skipping the one about the Royal Mail. Because...
way down at the bottom.
Yep. If you click on one of the pictures and then go left and right on your keypad, you can just scroll through them. If you keep on going, there is actually a 3D printed prototype shown off.
I found dwarves.
I think you've got to.
I went too far. I found dwarves.
Yeah, dwarves are not part of the samurai army, I'm afraid.
Oh, there's the monks.
The only negative thing I'll say, I mean, I do like the monks, but the heads feel just a little bit too big. It's the only negative thing I'll say.
The other thing I'll say is, I feel like they're wearing too much armor, or there's too much visible armor.
Well, they are warrior monks, so...
Yeah, I get that, but, even in all the other... Because, let's be honest, unless this is like... I don't know what they're called, because I have no interest in them, because, I don't like I'm not the biggest fan of reenactment miniature gaming.
Yeah, which is what they aim for.
Yeah, this is not,
your typical monks that you see.
Yeah. It's not... They look fine. It's not, what I would think of when I hear warrior monk.
What Fireforge do tend to go towards more the historical. Right, they do have fantasy stuff, as we saw when we looked at them, because that's kind of what I was interested in. But they do mainly tend to do the historical stuff.
I was going to say, when in history did we have dwarves?
Gee, it's almost like you completely didn't listen when I started the conversation by saying that they also have fantasy stuff. So there you go. Fireforge have some interesting stuff. It's coming to Kickstarter. So, I don't actually know if we know when yet, but when we find out, I suppose. Moving on to Parabellum. Hey guys, if you click on the right thing, then it'll give you your proper prices for your local area. So I can look at the Australian prices, and you can look at the everybody else prices.
I already did that.
That's nice.
Me too.
This is where I'm going to smile and pretend that I care, George. Nobody cares about George.
When obviously you don't.
No. Hey, if you like stuff from Parabellum, you should use the code GettingTabled at checkout on their website. Gives you 10% off. Cheap plug over. Okay, so Old Dominion is an army that we have known has been coming for a while. This is kind of their version of the undead trope. We've known that for a while, but now we actually get to see some things. So I'm just going to start by opening up the one-player starter set, because it kind of shows us everything. So the lore behind these guys, it kind of feels a little bit Necron-y, sort of. Basically, these are old warriors that have been brought back to life to win back their original homeland. And some of them have been resurrected that many times that they don't really remember who they are anymore. They're just kind of broken, undead monsters. The leaders in the army still have a semblance of who they are and who they were, and they're very Romanesque. So it's undead Romans.
I would say Greek.
It's kind of a mix. It's kind of a mix between the two. The helmets are Roman, but those shields are kind of a little bit of both.
Yeah, the helmets.
I mean, it's a fantasy
Roman.
setting; it doesn't matter. But
yeah, I will say. So I love the fact of the overuse of the oxidation.
yes, I will agree.
Because let's be honest, look at the paint and minis here. That oxidation technical paint is so overused, and on an army like this, it is perfect.
Yeah, because you're not going to be cleaning this stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know who the painter is that's done this, but I 100% agree with you. Does it say?
I mean,
No, it doesn't say.
I like the middle hero figure that has almost a gladiator mask style helmet with the wolf head or whatever. It's on top of lion head, maybe, with the staff with the serpent on top.
Oh, that's
really
back on
like
the
that.
original page. I'm like, I don't see that.
Yeah, back on the original page. It's not part of the starter kit.
Yeah. Well, in the starter kit, Stephen, I had that open. I'm just going to read this first. You have 24 Legionnaires or Praetorian Guard, so you can build one or the other. You've got 24 Caries or Morai. You can build one or the other. And you've got one Archimandrite, and then you get all of the bases and so forth that come with it. So it's kind of a similar sort of size as what you would see with the other ones.
Based on those names alone, the Legionnaires and the Praetorian Guard, that's very Romanesque.
Yeah.
Not Greek.
Well, I wasn't just saying that because I decided that that's what it looked like.
Based on those
I didn't
army,
know that.
the miniature names for their army.
Yeah. I have to agree with you. I'm going to stay Strategos. I like that guy. He might actually be my favourite too so far. I like the fact that Parabellum continues. Like, they take tropes, but they always do their own thing with those tropes. I really like that they do that. Because how many times can you see the undead done that are just undead? How many times can you see orcs done? But look, it's just orcs. Look, these orcs have big armor. Yeah, but they're still just orcs.
I was gonna say I'm a big fan of the Zilliarch character.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
I like that one too. With the Roman
I just opened that one.
flared helmet.
Yeah. And he's kind of like, you can see where like half his face is just kind of falling apart.
Mm-hmm.
It's really cool. So, I think it's probably fair to say that the Old Dominion are going to be the new hotness at this stage, because that's always what seems to happen with these things. Especially if it's a game like Conquest that only have a few forces at this stage. This is number 6. So it's not like it's one of 20 different forces that you could pick. Like, there's reasons that people get excited anyway, but there's reasons to get excited when it's like, oh, finally, the faction I wanted. Also, which is the reaction I had with the orcs, which was like, oh, it was just so different that I had to buy it. So yes, if you like Parabellum, if you would like to buy stuff, use our code and help us, because that would be nice. Moving on to a company.
Moving backwards in time.
A little bit of both. To about a year and a half ago, when I said that we should be getting more things like this. There's a G.I. Joe board game coming out. Now, this is from a game company that I'd never heard of, but in hindsight have been aware that they've been making stuff for this property for a little while. Because these are the same guys that are doing the Transformers role-playing game that we talked about. They have the license to be doing all of that stuff. They also did that Power Rangers game that apparently is really good. So these guys have actually been around for a little while, but it's just for some reason I haven't really noticed. But they also apparently have, the same deck building game that everybody else has, but with Transformers and G.I. Joe. If you open up the video, yes, then you actually get previews not just of the box art, but later down the track, we get views of some minis. About halfway through the video at about 1:15, you get a look of a Cobra Warrior, and the guy continues to talk, and then you get a full view of everything that comes in the box set. These guys look like they're around the 28mm scale, and the detail on these minis are absolutely stunning.
No, that looks more like a 38.
That was what I was thinking. Maybe 38, 35, somewhere around in there.
Actually, next to his arm, I'd have to agree with you. I was looking at the big overarching one.
Yeah, it's hard to tell on the big overarching, but once he puts it down and it's next to his arm.
Yeah, because it's almost as big as his wrist is. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's about
almost
that. Depending on how big his arm is, but he doesn't look like he has tiny arms. So
if you go like right at, oh come on, 204, you've got a shot of him holding it.
Yeah, and
that looks like at least a good 38.
Yeah, I'd agree with you. Yeah.
So, which there's a point of like some of the 28 stuff. It's like, oh, I have to paint this, and then it's like you get to like some of the bigger stuff, like, oh, this is easier to paint because it's not so tiny. But then you get to the point of like, oh, this is so huge, I have to really like paint this good because you can see everything. I think 38's a nice happy medium on that.
Speaking of
something like this for Star Wars Legion,
that's what airbrushes are for.
I know, right?
Yeah, you should pull your airbrush out of its box.
If I can find it since the move.
No, you should find. You've been there long enough now. You should know where everything is. Says the man that still has boxes that he hasn't unboxed after 3 years.
Hey, to be fair, Thunderboy found like a lot of unopened, unassembled Drop Fleet Commander pledge in his attic the other month. So
I know where I still have 2 boxes full of unassembled stuff from my pledge. So
I know of somebody that found an entire Eldar army last year.
It's assembled. It's assembled.
Oh, that was so easy. That was so easy. You bit so nicely too. Before I move on to the next subject, like talking about the scale of this made me start to think about something. A couple of years ago, anything that ever hit the tabletop was 28mm. 100%. Like just you didn't bother unless it was going to be 28mm because nobody would look at it. But has anybody noticed how much more popular the larger scales have become recently? I mean, it started with Marvel, but they're not the first ones to do it. Parabellum is about 38 as well. Board games are all going in that direction.
Yeah. Depends on the game, I would say.
Yes.
I'll see because Massive Darkness 2 is on its way. I'm guessing that's a 28mm scale. Death May Die is a 28 scale. Super Fantasy Brawl, that's a 38 scale. I like I said, I like the 38 scale a little bit more because it gives you a little more meat to work with.
Yeah. And
so you're not sitting there, working on eye strain, while you're painting.
And if it's a skirmish style game, it's not like it's... So the issue with having 40mm stuff on a mass battle is that it takes up so much room.
Yeah.
But if you only have 10 to 15 minis, it doesn't actually change that much as far as the transport and everything is concerned.
Yeah, and not to say that, suggest this or anything, but could you imagine how beautiful Bushido would look if it was on a 38mm scale?
You know how we keep on talking about how we want drop squad?
38
Lewis, 38mm.
No, I agree. That way you can get that detail of those
It's not even just that. It also means that you stand out.
Yeah.
Although, if everybody's doing it, do you stand out? But there's so much 28 mil out there at the moment that maybe going in that direction might help a little bit. I mean, it also helps with moolah, I guess. But yeah. I really like the look of this. There is a preview thing where if you preview this within a certain window, then you will get an exclusive mini of Snake Eyes that's kind of based on a couple of things from the comic and the artwork. And it comes in what looks like one of the retro boxes, which I think is really cute. It's either going to be something that you're excited by or you won't. I am genuinely curious about this game, though, to be honest.
That's...
I will not be previewing it, but I am genuinely curious. I might have to have a look to see what else they're doing. I'm definitely very tempted by their role-playing games. The big problem is that I don't know... Well, I don't know if I'd actually get anybody to play it with me. But I also don't know which one. I don't know if I really want to role-play in Transformers, as much as I love them. But there's definitely one of those properties I would love to do an RPG of. I just don't know what.
So I'm going to date myself here, but did you see the fourth intellectual property they have at the top of the screen?
Power Rangers.
They have Power Rangers, they have G.I. Joe, they have Transformers.
And Vampire the Masquerade.
Vampire the Masquerade, based off of, I'm guessing, White Wolf's Vampire the Masquerade, because what else would be Vampire the Masquerade unless it's actually Vampire the Masquerade? And I remember
that's an expandable card game.
And I remember back in the day with Jihad, which was based off of the White Wolf Vampire the Masquerade. And yeah. Oh yeah, it is totally it's got you've got the same clan stuff and everything.
Yeah.
Who are these guys? Where have they been hiding?
These guys also have a game for Altered Carbon. Dead Men Tell No Tales is a game that rings out to me, but I don't know why. I've definitely heard of that though. They've got some fairly significant things, and obviously some things of their own as well. Scott Pilgrim I can see here on the list. So, yeah. Definitely one to be watching, I think.
Hiding? Yeah, no kidding.
I don't know if it's so much that these guys have been hiding. I think that it's more that we just haven't realised, because there's at least 4 or 5 of those boxes that I've seen.
Yeah,
but I just never realised that they were all by the same company, even though they have a very similar art style. I've almost brought that Power Rangers game a couple of times. I haven't, but I almost did a couple of times.
I was in high school when Power Rangers first came out, and for the age I was and everything, I was like, man, this show's a little campy. But God, it's fun to watch.
Oh yeah, it was campy by design though. Were you a Power Rangers person, Socks?
No, but I remember growing up with friends that watched it.
George, when you were watching it, were your thoughts this is just ripping off Voltron?
Yes, absolutely.
Which, now that I know what I know, I find hilarious, because Voltron wasn't even Voltron, but obviously we didn't know that as kids. I was just on the cusp of being too old for Power Rangers, but I still got into it in the initial years, the Mighty Morphin years, and then when it moved off into whatever it was after that, that's when I dropped away. But we're getting distracted, because I want to show off some really cool looking stuff from Wild West Exodus. So,
what about Dystopian Wars?
We'll get to that, but I want to start with Wild West Exodus.
Oh, you're starting at the bottom. Okay.
I'm starting at the bottom. Because it's a sickle grav cav. So this is a flying version of their electronic bikes, basically. There's a version that is mounted, and there is a version that's controlled by a robot. So one of them is a drone. I love this so much. This is so cool.
They do look cool.
But yes, you do touch on the fact that there's also some stuff coming for Dystopian Wars. So
we're
let's
not
be
going
a
to talk
good
about
boy.
the Wild West Exodus terrain while we're down there.
We already have. We mentioned that a couple of weeks ago. Oh, well, sorry. No, there is new stuff in that set, but we've seen this before.
Well, we don't have to jump into too much to it, but I just want to point something out. So they have the Red Oak Town Set 1, and they've got all the little tiny thumbnails of the buildings and stuff. And then they took the time, just a little bit of time, to say compatible with. And they've listed other game systems, obviously in Wild West Exodus, but other game systems that to give you an idea of like what the scale actually is.
Yeah.
Yeah, true. That's actually a very good point.
I like that little touch of, you could use this where, oh my god, look, the cat house.
Yes, yeah, the cat house has been a lot of people's favourites, actually. Because it literally is shaped like a cat. I mean, it screams what it is without outright saying what it is.
What, a brothel?
Nope.
I don't know what you're talking about. Look, I mean, it definitely, it's fairly obvious what it's trying to be. But
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I think this is a great looking set.
I agree.
I love the fact that there's a couple of wagons, because Wild West Town doesn't have wagons sitting around.
Yep. Even, the tiny little one-story building, the one that says that it's about Wyatt Earp, the sheriff's house, even that is gorgeous. And it's just a tiny little insignificant building that you're not going to look at, but it's just, there's so much detail there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The iron plating is a nice touch. All right, going back up to the top. So these are the March releases that we're looking at, just for the record. We've got an Enterprise battle fleet coming, which is a giant airship carrier, drones, ships, the sort of sizes of the ones that we looked at. That's part of the Union, and that looks stunning. It gives you some pictures of the Dreadnought, the super carrier.
Can we take a brief second and acknowledge that the fact of they created an Enterprise?
Yes.
Good point. Yes. Yep.
Because albeit, there's the HMS Enterprise, which is the start of the whole thing. But if you look at Star Trek, they're like, oh yeah, there's been all these Enterprises. So much to the point of when they did the space shuttle, people were like, NASA, you have to name a space shuttle Enterprise. And what did NASA do? They named one Enterprise. The fact that this dystopian war,
it's adding to that mythology.
They named it a carrier Enterprise. That's...
I don't mind the look of the Washington. That's actually, I kind of like the mixture of the steam with everything else. It does feel very US to me, for obvious reasons, because it is. There's no other country that ever did that I know of.
What? The
steam wheel boats.
Oh! You're talking about that. I thought you were talking about how naming ships after presidents.
No, I was literally commenting on how the next one looked. Following that, we've got a couple of autonomous. So there's like a mech suit that seems to have guns for legs, going around in different poses. Looks like there's actually a couple of ways that you can go about this one, which is nice. They show off it in a couple of different poses, so yeah, I quite like that. The one that I would be needing to look at is the Japanese Frontline squad, because these guys would be adding to the force that I have, and feel very similar to what I own. They're just slightly different. So that'll be to add to your existing force. And they give you examples of what you can build up there, which is nice. The Cheetah Autonoma is still my favourite thing in the box. It's a one-piece mini, but it's just so cool. It's just a giant mechanical squid. So there we go. War Cradle have been busy again. They always seem to be busy. Now I'm going to talk about a company that, generally speaking, I'm not a huge fan of, but they are releasing something that, without question, is absolutely stunning, despite the fact that it's a $500 miniature. No, I did not misspeak. It's a $500 miniature. Well, 420. Yeah. So we have an ancient red dragon that's, if you include the wings, about 4 Coke cans tall. This thing is huge. I think this might even be bigger than what's the dragon from The Hobbit called?
Smaug.
This actually looks bigger than Smaug as far as a mini is concerned, because it's all out and as opposed to filled up.
In the description it says it stands over 18 inches tall and a wingspan of almost 24 inches. So that's massive.
So they've done this in scale quite clearly. Now, there's only a few people in the world that's ever going to buy this, but it does kind of make you go, okay, so is it still a miniature? Yes, it's still a miniature because it's still in scale. Yeah.
So I think this will sell just for the one purpose of what's up in the top left-hand corner of the webpage.
D&D.
That's literally what it's for, yes.
Yeah.
And let's be honest, D&D has become a rather, much larger thing than, even 10 years ago. And I think you'll have quite a few people lining up to buy this. The
true diehard dungeon masters that want to have a nice ancient dragon for their players to face.
One thing I did just notice that I didn't originally is the wings are detachable, as is the tail. Now, obviously, that's how it will come stored in the box, because there's no way that it would be coming assembled in the box. But it sounds like it sounds like they've designed this thing to be pulled back apart again, which is something that is clever. That's also the way that Reaper do their larger stuff as well.
Mm-hmm.
But even like Reaper's big dragons are not this pricey. I'm very impressed by its scale, but
so
at the price that they're selling it, I'm hoping that it comes pre-painted.
Most likely it will. Because the reason why I'm saying this is go to products in the little title or the little hold-down bars. Go to pre-painted minis.
Yeah, so that's where it's expensive then. Yep, dragons.
But I've seen firsthand in a store down the street from me. Look on third row, last one on the right, third row. Tee 'em up. I've seen this miniature, and it is huge.
Interesting that Tiamat apparently is the same price.
Mm-hmm.
So, oh no, she is a little bit bigger.
She's a little bit bigger.
Not by much,
not by much. She's shorter, but her wingspan is much bigger.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I said, one of the local game stores I have here in town actually has this one on the shelf.
So that's where your big price is coming from. The reason I mentioned it is because if it wasn't painted, then it's not worth the price that they've charged.
Yeah, I was going to say, WizKids, it's going to come pre-painted because that's WizKids,
No, actually, not everything does anymore. A lot of their stuff does. Yeah, no, but they do. They do also sell unpainted stuff, especially for D&D. It's probably worth noting that WizKids, when it comes to their pre-painted stuff, can be a little bit hit or miss. It's mostly okay now, as opposed to like 10 years ago, you would be not saying that. But no, it still can be a little bit hit or miss, but there's not a lot that they can get wrong with a figure with 3 colours on it. I don't know. I mean, it's huge. I don't know if it's worth $420. And seeing Tiamat makes me question that more. Because there's more work that went into that.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot more work that went into that, actually. That's just my opinion. Last for the news. Heroes Infinite. So this is Raging Heroes we're discussing, which have a Patreon that you can join. They also do it through their website with some really, really gorgeous 3D printing models. So this is just a video. This is teasing what is coming for March. And these are all things from the secret jungle. You've got very much Aztec-inspired type stuff. Mayan as well, but there's a lot of different things. As you would probably expect from this sort of mythos, there is definitely some very revealing sculpts there. Nothing inappropriate. My favourite is easily the Itzalotl, the Black Soul Death Sorcerer, which is just like, it's a Saurian death priest looking thing. It's absolutely incredible. I like the style that they do with their minis, how they kind of make them. They use the computer generator to pre-color them in a way that makes them look like they're statues. Like they all look like they're porcelain. I really like this. I have not been backing these guys for quite a long time. I left a good 6 months ago, just because I wasn't using any of it. So what was the point? But this is a month. Like if you want to be running a D&D campaign, or if you want to build an army based around something like this would be the month to join it. Because this stuff is absolutely insanely good. And as someone that was backing it for over 12 months, the quality is always very, very high. You can get them.
What scale is this stuff?
Usually 28, but because it's 3D printing, you could boost it up and down if you wanted to.
Because this stuff would just absolutely fit in a Lizardman army for Sigmar.
Oh, yeah. Big time.
That's really cool.
Yeah. The moment I saw this, I was like,
holy crap, the scenery at the end.
oh, yeah.
That temple piece. Yeah, that like,
Yeah. That's impressive as hell.
Yep. Yeah, no, I'm a big, big fan of this. There's two different tiers. The $10 one just comes with the basics. The $14 one, which is the Overlord, comes with your mass troops as well. So there's two different price points that you can buy in. So if you were doing it for like D&D or something, or just like a skirmish game, you'd probably go for the cheaper one. But if you wanted to build an actual proper full army, that's... Ooh, I'm accidentally showing ads. That's where you would go for the other one. But otherwise, shall we discuss an indie?
Indie. Definition. Independent. Type. Slang word. Jargon.
Wasn't the 80s awesome?
Except for the fact that that's when you were born, no.
Fine, I'll go home then. Oh wait, I'm already home. Screw you.
You're already home. Aren't we all?
That is the joke. All right, crooked dice.
Technically, I'm in my office. And in 28 days, this is my office.
Yeah, but it's not 28 days yet. You'll have to learn to live with the fact that you don't live there yet. All right. So Crooked Dice are a company that's been around for quite a while. And there's going to be a percentage of the audience that probably know exactly who Crooked Dice are and why we're looking at them. These guys have a couple of games, the most popular of which is probably 7TV, where the game is that you're acting out a TV show. I'm oversimplifying that, but that's essentially what the game is. And as part of that, what you're going to start seeing is a lot of definitely not this, definitely not that. Such as, for example, if you just bring up miniatures, if you just click on the link that says miniatures, for example, then one of the first things, the third line down that you will see is called Abomination. And this is definitely not the villain from Thundercats. It's definitely not that. But, oh my goodness, it's definitely that. You can also get a set of adventurers that, by pure coincidence, might look like it's a wizard with a big hat and a dwarf and an elf, and for some reason Aragorn is a barbarian. I don't quite get why Aragorn is a barbarian. I mean, obviously they're trying to change things up so that they're not just.
Can we go down a little further and talk about how that's not V?
You've seen the new stuff. Yeah, this is literally their newest releases. And when we're talking V, we're talking the original V, not the remake. Though I enjoyed the remake. I need to see the last few episodes before they cancelled it. So there's actually quite a few V stuff that they've released. They've got the aliens themselves. They've also got the camera guy, which is the guy that reveals everything. They've got alternate heads, so you can swap them out and make them look like their alien selves. Yeah. Alien troopers, allies. There's a giant insect ant queen that I really love. Somewhere amongst all of this, there's a character that I'm going to call Dr. Watt, because I don't remember what they call him, but it's totally Doctor Who. And they've got different variations of Doctor Who that you can buy. Not as many as they used to have, though. They cancelled a few of them after somebody else did a Doctor Who game because they probably wanted to avoid some legal troubles. There's also Cylons from
Battlestar.
Battlestar, thank you. There's also definitely not James Bond in several different places. To some extent, if you can think about something from the 70s and the 80s, and that's generally where most of this will be coming from, you will probably find it. I have just found 100% the rest of the villains from Thundercats. Under Beastman 2. This is the reason why I wanted to bring it up. There is Best of Enemies, which has Bond, and it looks like Daniel Craig, with Blofeld, but it's the old original Blofeld. Oh no, it's not Daniel Craig. It's Sean Connery. There's Planet of the Apes stuff, which is stuff that you guys will have seen before because Michelle shared it with me when I was talking about how building up a full ape army would be kind of cool. What was you talking vehicles-wise? Was there a specific vehicle?
Yeah, the Colonel Corvette does not look like a DeLorean. About...
Oh, yeah.
7 rows down in the middle. 7 or 8 rows down.
On page 3.
On page 3.
Thank you.
4 from the
That's
bottom.
More helpful.
4 from the bottom.
And when you click on it, you can actually model it to make it look like it actually has the flying wheels, just the wheels that are normal.
Oh, nice.
So.
Okay. Yeah. No, that's cool.
Even further down, you got the Ghostbusters vehicle. Clearly not Ghostbusters vehicle, but Paranormal Exterminators.
I actually own their Paranormal Exterminators. I don't have Ecto though.
So yeah, this is kind of fun.
Yeah, like I said, because the game works where you're creating a TV show, it allows them the freedom to kind of do almost anything that they want. Because of course that would be filmed in a TV studio. You've got Cyborg, which is the $1 Million Man and the $1 Million Woman. And Divine Mortal, which is Xena. So they all have cheesy names that kind of make you go, ugh, really? But that's kind of one of the best things about it. Is just seeing what they will name things. I'm still a huge fan of the Ant Queen looks really cool. Paranormal. Oh, I love Ecto. Oh, it's an open top deck, though. Oh, no. Why is there an open topped one, then? Weird. I did a search for paranormal, and the first post I can see is from 2015. And it shows the original Ghostbusters next to Ecto 1. But it's an Ecto 1 with its top off. Weird. I'm guessing that somebody has just painted that up to go with the minis and not that it comes... Maybe I'm not looking at an actual miniature. Anyway, that's Crooked Dice. I would highly recommend spending a good 45 minutes just looking through everything. But I do warn you, you will end up spending money. All of their stuff is metal. It's all very much old-time sculpts. So there's a lot of nostalgia here.
Did you see the Beholders?
No, I did not see the Beholders.
Page 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 7 rows from the bottom. So yeah, faster from the top. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rows from the top.
They got a cacodemon. Nice. You mean the one with the really big cheesy grin?
Yeah.
Yeah. Nah, I love him. He's cool.
No, there's a lot of neat. Oh my God, Jeff Goldblum from The Fly, failed experiments. It's totally what that has to be.
Oh, you did have to tell me just as I closed it, didn't you?
Yeah, don't worry. It was the same page at the.
What page number?
5.
Page 5.
Past the Beholders.
Oh! Oh, and you've got different setups that you can do as well. You got arms that you can swap and things. Oh, that's really clever. There's actually one that does look like... There's one with a robot hand, there's one with a tentacle.
Scroll down to the bottom, and then, because they're fem droids, not fembots. They're fem droids.
Fem droids. There's fem droids too that come out of the one of the more modern ones. Yeah. I tell you what, actually doing Austin Powers on the tabletop would be fun. Really dumb, but a lot of fun.
That's like saying water's wet, Bruce.
Yeah. All right. Shall we discuss some hobbies?
Trim, glue, prime, paint.
What have you been up to, George?
I just ordered paint.
You've ordered paint? Real paint or miniature paint?
Miniature paint.
Okay, well that helps. Why have you ordered paint?
That unboxing I did of the really big guy who's in gold armor.
Yeah.
Do you remember that candy paint that I showed you that was really high gloss and like gold?
Ah, you're gonna try it out. Yeah.
I'm gonna try it out, and if it works, that's gonna give me like no reason to not get like a custody army to go around him and paint them in bright shiny gold.
Yep. I can see that.
Because how ludicrous would that be to have like, you know, sure it's custody, so you only got like 12 models on the table, but they're like shiny metal reflective.
You just want to hang out with Henry Cavill.
No. I mean, yeah, if I got a chance to hang out with him, I'd love to. I mean, just the point of, you know, it's the hobby, you know, hang out with people who do the hobby, you know?
Yeah.
That's why we do the hobby.
Just because that's his army of choice.
This is true. Because it's the only army you can afford because you only need 12 models.
Yep. Socks, you have an ATST there.
Yeah,
I'm
I
assuming
do.
that's what you've been up to.
Working on it because I got a tournament coming up next weekend, so I'll be finishing up this. But then I've also been
Ooh.
putting stripes on my stormtroopers for their squad marking, so I can, when I'm looking on the table and looking at 4 squads of stormtroopers, I can say, okay, that's that squad versus.
Are you gonna? I can talk good.
You sure?
Are you going to leave them that brilliant white?
Yes.
Really? Okay.
What other color would he paint the snow stormtroopers?
Take like a Nolan oil and water it down 5-1 with like a thinner or something like that, so that you can just hit it with it, and it would just barely hit the recesses to give it a little depth, but not take away from the white.
I'd probably go for a brown over the black personally. But yeah, watering it. You will have to bring the white back up. But
yeah,
if you end up having time, that would be a good call.
I've got some death troopers and some scout troopers that I got to finish up as well as part of my army. So
I thought that George was going to try and tell you to paint them green or blue or something.
Yeah, I know.
That's the direction I thought he was taking that.
You should paint them pink. That would look totally amazing as pink.
Yeah, sure. You do that, George.
I
kind of just want to see the Star Wars fans skin crawl as they see that you've ruined their
right?
precious.
What about you, Bruce? What have you been up to?
Hobby-wise, I haven't had a chance for a lot, to be honest. I've been very busy. The Bushido series has been kind of... Between that and Twitch, it's kind of been... I haven't had a lot of actual time to me. But in saying that, I was painting up some Bot War the other night because in a conversation with you, I mentioned that I want to redo them all entirely.
Yep.
That conversation did not make the podcast. But I finally decided what I was going to do. They're now going to be more of a teal and orange, which I don't know if that's the idea I had at the time. I think I was still along the lines of, I just need to redo them and I don't know what I'm going to do now.
Throw in a little bit of white highlights and they look like the frickin' Miami Dolphins.
Okay. Sure. I mean, they're giant insect robots, but sure. They're Miami Dolphins. Sure, why not? I'm guessing that's an NFL team.
It is.
Yeah. Their teals are an orange, a teal, or their colors are teal, orange, and a white.
Yep.
Okay. I do need to figure out what my third color is going to be. I don't actually know yet. I need to figure that out.
So I have a suggestion for you. So back in the day when I was doing my Age of Sigmar Stormcaster Trolls army, I did purple and silver with green and gold. Okay. Sounds like a terrible set of color combinations, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I got these color combinations from, ready for this, a wedding planning website.
Interesting.
That is an interesting color scheme for a wedding.
Would you like to know who else used that for their miniatures?
Huh.
Specifically, Eldar miniatures.
Who?
You should have seen these pictures recently. They were in our chat.
Robin
Williams' army was around that. Maybe not exactly, but it was very close to that.
What chat was that in? That was this chat, right?
I don't remember. But otherwise, if you Google search Robin Williams Eldar, you will eventually come across. There's only like 2 or 3 pictures because after he passed, Zelda was trying to figure out what things were, and she was on Reddit trying to figure it out. If you search for long enough, you'll find like 500 different million people trying to claim that they now own the army. I don't believe a single one of them. I find it very difficult to believe that Zelda would actually pass them on. I mean, she might have done, but I find it very hard to believe. But yeah, there's only a couple of pictures that still remain out there in the public now. One is a Titan. No, they're both Titans. One is the Eldar Titan, and the other one is, I want to say, a Warhound? Whatever the smaller one is. But anyway, yeah, they also use that. So yeah, I've been painting up a bit of Bot War, trying to get that done, given that I have kind of like 5 projects going at the same time at the moment. It's trying to just get stuff done. Otherwise, I have been doing a bit of filming. And I have more filming to get done this week. Yes.
Talk nerdy to me.
So, we're looking at the Resistance Troopers today, because from memory it's the last of the Troopers that we haven't looked at. So, we only have a couple of them, honestly. We've got the Resistance Fighters, which are the ones that I'm going to bring up now. And then, surprisingly enough, there's some Resistance Veterans.
We're not going to go over their exotics because we have some down below.
Yep. So, Resistance Fighters have a move. They are 25 points, squad size of 2 to 4. They have 2-inch move. There's no countermeasures. The armor is 7. They got a damage of 5. They got an infantry of 4+. They take up 1 slot in the vehicle. They've got assault rifles. There's no move and fire. Front, side, and rear. Range full is 36 inches. Range counted is 9. It's got 5 shots, 3+, 3 energy. Special is Alt 1, reduced 1. So the Alt is if you want to have homemade RPGs. They've got 0-inch move and fire. Front, side, and rear again. Range full is 18, otherwise the counted is 6. 5 shots, 3+, 6 energy. Again, Alt 1. This one, however, has Focus 2, Limited 1, Penetrative, and Reduced 1. And then finally, we've got Knives and Pistols, which is their close quarters. Ironically, it still says 5 shots. Well, I guess it's and pistols, so that does make sense. They've got no accuracy because it's close combat. And it's 3 energy, reduced 1. So these are your bog standard troops. So, yeah.
Yep.
You want to go through those veterans?
Sure. So you got your veterans, which are 40 points apiece, squad size 2 to 4. Again, 1 slot in the vehicle. Move of 2 inches, no countermeasures. Their armor is 7. They have 5 damage, and then infantry 3+ for their fortitude. And then they have 2 different weapon sets they can have. The first set they have is the assault rifles with 0 move, there is no move and fire value. Front, side, rear, 36-inch range full, 9-inch countered, 5 shots, 2+ accuracy, 3 energy, reduced 1, and then their close quarters are some assault grenades. Again, close quarters for both the ranges, 5 shots, 5 energy, Alt 1, reduced 1, so I'm guessing Alt 1 should not be there, Lewis, but correct us. And then optional weapons, they can have plasma rifles, because these are resistance veterans, so they've been around fighting, so they've been scrounging up scourge weapons as they've been going around. Front, side, rear, no move and fire value. Front, side, rear arc, 12-inch full, 12-inch countered, which is kind of nice. 5 shots, 2+ accuracy, 3 energy, focus 3, and reduced 1. And then they have machine pistols as their alternate close quarters weapon. 15 shots, 0 accuracy, 2 energy, Alt 1, reduced 3. So, but then they have some special rules at the start of the game before deployment. You can choose 1 special rule for all resistance veteran squads in your army to have. You can have Scourge occupation. These fighters take to the battle with the modified Scourge plasma rifles salvaged from their foes. This squad replaces its assault rifle with plasma rifles. You can have Marine Force Recon, specially trained UCM allies fight alongside resistance forces. This squad gains machine pistols and the Dodge 5+ rule. Or you can have the Callium Volunteers, which are Iron Disciplined soldiers who choose to continue serving long after their conscription is up. This squad automatically passes fortitude tests and gains resilient special rules. So 3 different ways of playing these guys, depending on how your force is made up. I believe the Callium are only for the... Oh, there's 2 different sides of the resistance you can build. One that leans more towards the UCM, and then there's one that's more towards the guys that oppose the UCM coming back. So I think that's what the Callian volunteers are more lean toward.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So, I mean, clearly the veterans are designed so that if I throw 20 dice, I might actually hit one thing.
Yeah.
No, the extra points here is clearly for your accuracy and your weapon options. It opens up a few things there. In regards to that Alt 1 on the machine pistols, it's possible that that's replacing... I think what that is that's not replacing your assault rifle, it's... No. Because you replace one... Yeah. Okay, never mind. I was thinking that maybe you just take one or the other, but no, you take both, so that would be your cat.
Uh-huh. That would be my cat. That's...
it's a Biotitan!
It is a Biotitan. That just knocked over a bunch of my D&D miniatures on the floor. So, anyways.
Yeah.
Because my kids left it out.
The cat or the minis?
The minis.
So, did you say we are covering or we're not covering the exotics?
We can, because those are be considered troops. The ATV riders and included.
All right, George. George, take the Berserker.
I can handle doing this one. Berserker assault troops. They have a move of 2 inches, CM of nothing, armor 6, damage 5, infantry 2+, special, bloodthirsty, and rare. Their weapons are vicious tools. MF and ARC are nothing. RF and RC are both CQ. The show is 15. ACC is nothing. E is 4. Special is reduced 3.
I love the fact that after all of these months, he still proves that he doesn't listen to a word that we say.
I know, right?
But that's it. I'm done. I've covered the unit.
You fulfilled your yeah.
All right, I'll go into the free riders then. So they cost 40 points. Squads are 2 to 4. They will take up 2 positions in the vehicle. You've got 12-inch move. Countermeasures are E+4. Armor of 8, damage of 3, infantry 3+. They have infiltrate 3 inches and resilient. They come with machine guns. So move and fire is 9 inches. Front, side, and rear. Their full range is 24 inches. The counted is 12. They've got 3 shots, accuracy of 3+, energy 4, and reduced 1. Bikes. This unit loses its evasion countermeasures when a garrison. In addition, this unit may choose to retain its full MV distance when exiting a garrison, although cannot embark into a terrain if it does so. So you can't do both, basically. It's one or the other.
Not terrain, transport.
Oh, sorry, yes. So you can leave the garrison, but you can't go back into a transport on the same turn. That's fair.
Bruce, you should know this as a guy who rides a bike. You don't want to embark into terrain on a bike.
Well, it's talking about leaving a garrison, which is terrain.
Which is a building. You don't want to go into.
Yes,
you can
it's a garrison.
Garage, but don't drive into a tree.
That too.
So you're not allowed to leave the garage and move into the trailer at the same turn. You need to wait a turn first. Sticky Mines. After completing a move action, pick one enemy unit that this action moved within 1 inches of. That unit is hit by a sticky mine. That unit suffers an automatic hit of an energy 9 weapon. That's quite nasty.
Mm-hmm.
Risky, but nasty. I like that. Automatic damage. You gotta love it. Attack ATVs. Sucks.
Yep. So these are 25 points apiece. Squads 3 to 6 size. Move is 9 inches. Countermeasure of evasion +1. 9 armor, 3 damage. Infantry 3+. Resilient as well. They have the assault grenade launchers, which is 6-inch move and fire. Front arc 9 range full. 6-inch countered range. 3 shots. 2+ accuracy. 5 energy. Alt 1, focus 2, and reduced 1. And then it has incendiary grenades, 6-inch move and fire, front arc, 6-inch range full, 6-inch range counter, 6 shots, 3+ accuracy, 3 energy, Alt 1 flame and a reduced 1, and then because this one has wheels, it cannot enter garrisons at all.
So no garage for that one.
No going into buildings.
Well, it would be wider than the actual doorway, so that makes sense.
Yes.
There's
our resistance. That's when we're going to talk about stappers down in the scouts and the scout ATVs.
George, read the sappers.
Okay, the sappers. Go away.
No, we're not finished yet.
The attack ATVs? Yeah, there we go.
No,
right?
sappers.
Or the sappers.
Oh, sappers all the way down there. There we go.
Yeah, you know the one that I said the name of 3 times.
Shush. Sappers, 35 points, squad size 2. They have a move of 2 inches, countermeasure nothing. Armor 7, damage 3, infantry of 5+, special infiltrate 18 inches, and rare. Weapons, you have trigger demo IED. That's a move and fire of nothing. Arc is front side rear. Ranges are infinity. 1 shot, ACC of 4+, energy of 11. Special is Devastator 4 scenery. Then you have knives and pistols. They can move and stab people with those. Front side rear, close combat for the range. 3 attacks, nothing for the ACC, energy of 3, reduced 1. Cluster IED. When an enemy squad enters a garrison, this squad is in, roll 2d6. The enemy squad takes that much damage distributed the same way as close quarter weapons. Passive and dodge saves may be used against this damage. If a double is rolled, the explosion was a bit too powerful. Damage dealt is normal, but 1 unit from the squad is then removed as a casualty, controlling player's choice.
I really like that, actually.
Yeah.
I also love that you took what I said as a challenge and actually did listen, but then failed at the accuracy. No, well done, George. Thank you. And lastly, the Scout ATVs. So 40 points, squad of 2 to 4. They take 2 slots. Move of 9, countermeasures E1. Armor 9, damage 3, infantry 3+, resilient. They also have the wheels rule, so they cannot enter garrisons. Enhanced targeting array. Any friendly indirect weapon targeting a unit within line of sight of 1 or more of these with this special rule receives a -1 to its accuracy. So these exist to help you hit things, basically.
With artillery.
Yeah. Disruptor array. Once per activation, pick an enemy vehicle or infantry squad with at least 1 unit in line of sight within 18 inches of this unit. The squad suffers a +2 penalty on its accuracy until the end of the round. Multiple units in this squad may affect multiple enemy units, but each squad may only be affected by this rule once. So you're screwing with their weapons, but helping with your own. It sounds pretty scouty to me.
Pretty much.
Yeah. And that's it for our game talk. So, upcoming events?
Tournaments, demos, conventions, that kind of stuff.
I know you told me what that is, but I don't remember. But it doesn't matter right now.
Tournaments, demos, that kind of stuff.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Okay. So, we've got a couple of competitions going on in the drop community. So, Dropzone Commander have... Wait, hang on. I'm looking at the wrong thing. Yeah, Dropzone Commander have a kit bash competition going. So, you get to kind of kit bash and make your own version of something. It can be a new pattern of an existing unit or a brand new creation of your own choice. Kit bashers must use a minimum of 51% drop zone models. The rest of your kit bash can be pieces from other models, plasticard, sculpting puddly, etc., etc. However, 3D printing is not permitted on the contest, which is understandable, I suppose. So at this time, previous contest winners will actually form a panel of judges as opposed to the community voting. They're trying something different to try and mix it up a little bit because, well, the community votes haven't always been helpful.
Mm-hmm.
There's some TT combat prizes, as always. Turbo Dork is actually supporting it as well. And there's a 10% discount voucher from Green Stuff World for anyone who enters. In order to qualify for that, you will need to finish what you enter with. If previous competitions are anything to go by. But, seeing as we're talking about drop, there's also a competition for drop fleet. So...
Is it the same thing?
No.
Nope.
Oh.
No, you've got a mission writing competition for drop fleet.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. This is the sort of thing that I'm terrible at, so I'm not going to be... Well, I wouldn't have the time to enter anyway. So, you can create a narrative or a competitive scenario for drop fleet. Use the standard layout, a cool name, a short story, number of players, etc. You know the drill. I thought we were talking about a mission, not a drill. What are we talking about tools for, Michelle? So, to enter, you need to comment with your choice of narrative or competitive. They will share a template of things to make your life easier. You submit your scenario before the deadline of the 16th of April. The previous one was the 1st of April. And again, they're going to have a panel of judges. So Chris Vassar and Michelle will be the judges for that. They will be scoring entries on 3 categories: originality, playability, and creativity. If there's a tie, then we will hold a public vote. That makes sense, given that there's only 2 of them.
Mm-hmm.
And again, same supporters as the previous one. So, yeah. Some nice fun stuff there for the community. Poltercon is coming up on the 1st of May. You can book demo tables for 4 rounds. Book a demo table of 4 rounds. Michelle's part of the organisation for this one, so that's why we kind of get early news about this coming up. It is going to be a little smaller because of the pandemic. Currently, there's 12 games that can be tried out. Some of them are new, some of them are up and coming, and some of them are in development. Others are well known. So, Donnybrook, High Octane, Rumble Slam, Squad Leader, The Floating Temple, Kings of War Armada, Blood and Valor, Burrows and Badgers. You spelt Badgers wrong, Michelle. Black Seas, It's Me, Napoleon. I kind of love that game already just from the name of it. Open Combat, and The Drowned Earth. There's definitely some big names there to try out.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently Drowned Earth is going to really be trying to push ahead this year and get some of that. So it doesn't surprise me that they're featuring, because they've made a point of actually trying to get their name out there a little bit more than what they have been. Cost of a day ticket, including your lunch, is €30. We've also got the World Model Expo coming up from the 1st to the 3rd of July. We've talked about this one before. Tickets are now on sale, though. Takes place at the NH Eindhoven Conference Centre in Koningshof, Veldhoven, Netherlands. And Michelle still hasn't told me off, so I still assume that I'm saying it right.
Mm-hmm.
Gen Con, August 4th till 7th. Tickets are on sale. And I think that's it. George, read our social stuff, because it's your turn.
Is it my turn?
Uh-huh.
You can find us on Patreon, www.patreon.com/gettingtabled. It's $2 a month to support us. That goes to doing all the stuff on the back end, storage online, etc., etc. Of course, you'll find most of our stuff, like 99.9999% of our postings, happen on Facebook at www.facebook.com/gettingtabled. YouTube, we have our own little YouTube, www.youtube.com/gettingtabled. Please subscribe and help us reach 1,000 by our 2-year anniversary. That would be absolutely amazing. 3 year?
Yeah, it's been 3 years for a while.
That's okay. I forgot how old I actually was this year, so I was like, wait, no, I'm older than that.
We
so
started
3
this
years.
again. We started this again when you said I was hoteling myself in the desert for my year.
I mean, say that you. It's not our fault that you live in 8-star hotels all of your life.
If you need to reach out to us, send us anything, questions, comments, concerns, you can do that at gettingtabled@gmail.com. We have Instagram and Twitter at gettingtabled. And our website for now is still gettingtabled.weebly.com.
If we can get our Patreon numbers up, I would love to move across to a .com if we can sometime soon.
And just like, yeah. And then there's this Twitch for Twitch TV, twitch.tv/Jason the Bruce.
Yep, which is literally me. Oh, it is there. I thought I forgot to put that on there.
It's on the next page.
Yeah, I saw.
Scroll down more.
Yeah, that's it. Anything else for the people who subject themselves to us on a weekly basis?
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for subjecting yourself to George. And thank you very much for appreciating the greatness that is Magisox. And
That's right.
I'm here sometimes too. And otherwise, play the thing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
For listening to Getting Tabled. Music used in this podcast was created by Eric Matthias at soundimage.org.
Play more games.
So you. Oh wait, I need to